Good morning. It's now 9 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 66 now, getting up to a sunny 82 later. A child reportedly fell out of an apartment window and suffered life-threatening injuries last night. This happened at an apartment building on Lebanon Road at Five Oaks just before 6 o'clock. Lebanon police shut down the road to traffic so a helicopter could land and transport that child to a Nashville hospital. Now, we have no information this morning on the condition of that child. Well, you're running out of time to vote early if that's what you plan to do this election cycle. Tomorrow, October 31st, is the last day. Davidson County Election Administrator Jeff Roberts says bring your ID, even if you're not sure if you're eligible to vote.
No one's turned away, even if you have to vote a provisional ballot. Come on out, vote, and then we'll determine if you're eligible to have your vote counted.
But if you do plan to vote on Election Day, be prepared for longer lines. If you're not sure where to vote, search the term Find My Polling Place. It's the best way to make sure that you go to the right place. Well, there was some good news and some bad news on the economy this morning. ABC's Jim Ryan.
The Commerce Department says the gross domestic product, the total output of goods and services, did slow slightly from the previous quarter. But economists say the latest figures still reflect surprising durability in the economy. On the downside, Americans have racked up record credit card debt to deal with rising prices.
Consumers have also been using their savings to pay for their purchases. Another economic report out this morning, home loans and applications for mortgages stalled once again last month, falling 0.1%. The Mortgage Bankers Association says the problem is mortgage rates. They rose again last week for the fourth time in 5 weeks. The average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage right now, 6.73%. Market numbers, the Dow Jones Industrials are up 122 right now. NASDAQ is gaining 14, and the S&P 500 index is up 5. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good morning. It is 9:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How you doing? My name's Chris Hand. How you feeling? We got less than a week to go until the election. We want you at our watch party at the Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon, Tennessee. We're going to be out there all day long. Wilson starting a show right around 3. Myself, Mandis Murphy. We're going to be joining the party around 5-ish, 6-ish, jumping on the air. We want you there. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have giveaways. It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be the best. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so good. Nobody will be called garbage.
Nobody will
promise.
be called nasty. That's nasty.
We will not be using nasty names to describe you, I promise.
Yeah, we'll be happy to have you.
Big promises. How you feel?
I think I'm pretty, I don't know, man. Murphy's been saying it a lot recently, too. I feel weird for feeling good.
Well, Murphy said yesterday, he's like, and he said it to me. He probably said it on his show, too. But I'm not telling tales out of school. He's told me if I say something to you, just say it.
Yeah.
But he said, he was worried that maybe we peaked too early.
Ooh.
Well, after yesterday, I don't know if that's the case because Joe Biden gets on this Voto Latino presser.
Ooh.
He's on a Zoom call with Voto Latino, and well, first of all, I just have to ask, nobody told him to back up from the camera a little bit. Nobody could help him with his camera position.
He has to make sure he can see himself properly.
He looks so awkward in this video.
It's just weird, man.
He is. I feel bad. He should be just on the beach hanging out with grandkids, but his evil wife wanted him to be president.
Yeah, Joan keeps talking about this dog that fell into a hole over the weekend named JoJo, and I was like, wow, not the only Joe in a hole this week.
Oh, that's a good one, Mason.
It's solid.
It fits too well.
This is Joe Biden with Voto Latino.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks,
really,
Joe.
Really putting it to us.
So Hillary, Kamala's calling us Nazis. Hillary calls us deplorable. Obama says we're clinging to our guns and religion. Joe Biden says we're garbage. I'll take it like a badge of honor. Garbage human reporting for duty, sir. Listen, do these words hurt us? At this point, no. When you call us Nazis and bigots and racists and misogynists and homophobes and transphobes and uneducated and anti-vaxxers and anti-science and, let's go. We can go down the list. Garbage is actually this is actually one of the nicest insults I've ever had hurled at me.
It's bad when instead of providing policies, they've gone to elementary school bullying policies instead, and they just name call everybody.
These people are garbage.
It's all we can do.
Okay. We're did you know we're garbage?
We're bigots.
It's just okay. All right. We're garbage. I'm fine with it. Did you hear Sean Farash? He's a Donald Trump impersonator. Somebody sent me this. Tori on Twitter sent me this, and it's pretty good.
Crooked Joe Biden just called the American people garbage. What a horrible thing to say. And this is a guy who says he grew up in a Puerto Rican community. He fought off corn poppy. But he called you garbage. What a horrible thing. But as the phrase goes, I came up with it myself. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And you are all treasure to me. And I found a lot of treasure, believe it or not. X marks the spot. We love X. And we love Elon. I gave him the idea. I said, Elon. He said, sir. I said, Elon, you should call it X. He goes, I don't know if I should do that. I said, you should do it. And he did it. And it's a tremendous platform. We love him. But Crooked Joe knows a thing or two about garbage with this dumpster fire of an administration. He's done a horrible job. It's been a complete and total disaster. He knows a thing or two about waste. They call it rubbish in England, but we kicked their asses in 1776. He knows a thing or two about waste. He left a lot of it on the floor of the Vatican, Operation Tootsie Roll. You're not supposed to do that. But he called you garbage, and I would never do a thing like that. The choice has never been clearer. You can vote for the guy who calls you garbage, or you could vote for the guy who believes you're the greatest treasure the world has ever seen. Vote accordingly, save your country, and let's make America great again.
I think my favorite part is Operation Tootsie Roll. You don't do that.
Don't do that in the Vatican.
that's
I
another.
think he does a better Donald Trump than Donald Trump does a Donald Trump. You know?
He may, and I'd mentioned during the Amigos like all the things that have happened this past year that we've actually forgotten about a lot of them. Uncle Bozy being eaten by cannibals.
Goodness.
The fact that there was a rumor that was more than believable that Joe Biden defecated himself at the Vatican was another one of those things. We should do that at the end of this year. You know, we'll probably have like a little lull in there between Christmas and New Year's. I'm not going anywhere for Christmas this year. I'm going to go to America Fest for a couple days at the end of December.
You should bring a big bowl of Tootsie Rolls.
We'll do the show. We'll do the show live in Phoenix. But then when we get back, we should count down all of these kind of incidents.
Top 10 Joe Biden mess-ups.
We should start working on that. We should.
I'm 100% there for it.
All right, perfect. Because Operation Tootsie Roll was definitely one that needs more coverage.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Just got to, real quick,
listen, Joe Biden, man. He promised an economy where poor folks will have a shot and rich people will still get ahead. So Joe Biden, it goes on this Voto Latino. He calls us all garbage. Boo-hoo. I'm so hurt. But as this is happening, Kamala Harris she's giving her closing arguments to the American people. I don't understand why they labeled this as her closing arguments to the American people. We're a week out from the election. Wouldn't you imagine your closing argument would be on November 4th? I think that they've already written this off. I do. So Joe Biden gets on Voto Latino. And you've heard the small clip that's going around where he's, oh, you're garbage, this and that, right? But that's like a 15-second clip. There's actually a little bit of a longer clip, which makes it a bit worse than that 15-second clip that's floating around. Viva Fry posted this on Twitter.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
I don't know the Puerto Rican I know. What?
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know.
I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, but the only supporters I see that are garbage, or the only garbage I see is his supporters. I don't know the Puerto Rican I know.
Name him. Name him. Oh, yeah. You don't know him. I don't know the Puerto Rican I know.
So this happens while Kamala's on stage giving her closing arguments. I'm convinced that she walks off that podium and says, wow, nailed it. This is why I've rehearsed the same speech at every campaign rally. It was for this moment, my closing argument, and I did great. Then she gets back and finds out her boss called half the country, more than half the country, in my estimation, 80 million Americans, garbage. Trump was giving a rally at this exact same time, and he called Marco Rubio up on stage, and little Marco, he breaks the news to the crowd.
He joined by some incredible people. I already mentioned Senator Marco Rubio. Marco, will you come up here, please? Come on. Good man, this one. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marco. You want to say something? Go ahead.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. Are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's
Yep.
talking about teachers.
Yep.
He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
Marco's right. I mean, listen, we can laugh at the comments. It's not going to hurt our feelings. We're in rubber and glue mode, right? Anything you say is going to bounce off of me and stick to you. So it's not going to hurt our feelings. But Marco's right. The point is that he's insulted so many Americans. Hard-working, good Americans, police officers and firefighters, National Guard, military. He's insulted anyone that supports Donald Trump. And we're what? 12 hours removed, and we're just now hearing that Kamala Harris is apologizing. I got CNN on in the studio. Occupational hazard. Murphy leaves it on. But she's just now apologizing for these comments. She should. Everybody should be apologizing for these comments. It couldn't have come at a better time for us. It couldn't have. I mean, this is basket of deplorables, right? This is just the new way that we can use to motivate voters, right? Let's motivate people with these comments and let's go. So Marco Rubio comes out on stage with Trump in Pennsylvania, breaks the news. He actually had a printout of what had happened. He tried to show the president, and then he breaks the news to everybody. After Marco breaks the news, Trump has this to say.
Wow.
Obviously, the crowd is very much behind President Trump.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, it's terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. Convinced.
I'm convinced now, too. Listen, we can make the case that Joe Biden is a step slower. I think everybody can make that case. But this feels kind of intentional. This does feel like, to me, like my first thoughts when I heard this comment was, wow, he really does hate Kamala Harris. He really is trying to sink this campaign. How can that not sink the campaign? How could it not? He tried to clean it up via tweet, Joe Biden did, which you can assume he didn't write this on his own. See, what they're going with at the White House is that he didn't mean supporters, like all of his supporters. He meant supporter '*S. That's what they're going with. So he tried to clean it up via tweet. Some White House staffer probably wrote this, maybe possibly an intern. The tweet reads, earlier today I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments that at that rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. That's the best way that you could clean it up. It's the best way. It's the best way. Okay. Hey, I'm fine with that. Governor Josh Shapiro was asked about it on CNN. Josh Shapiro has to be thanking the good Lord every single day that he wasn't chosen as VP. He doesn't want to be tied to this sinking ship. And when he's asked this question, I swear you can see a little light bulb in his mind go off because he's starting to think about 2028.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
I don't think it sounds like it. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
He cleans it up. Listen, I wouldn't make those comments. He's got to be thinking in his mind, yeah, this campaign is done. 100% done. And maybe they are cooked. Maybe they have something up their sleeve and they're not worried. You never know with Democrats, right? You never know with Democrats. We got a lot more to cover on the show. CNN is not buying the spin from Harris Biden allies. I'll bring you that next. Plus, listen, being called garbage has not been the worst thing that we've been called these past couple days. Tim Walz standing by his comments that anyone attending that rally at Madison Square Garden is a bunch of Nazis. We'll play that for you next. It's 921 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. I know Paul. I know his team. They're good guys, honest guys that you can trust. And you probably know Paul, too. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show here on the weekends every Saturday from 3 to 6. That's appointment listening. Before I got my show here, I was learning a lot by listening to Paul's show. And when I got here, I was like, yeah, sign me up. I want to meet Paul. So now I do get paid for these endorsements, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client by choice, and I'm a client because Paul can break things down for me in a way that I can understand. Paul's background is studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's how he got his feet wet in the industry, and he's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So my wife and I, we work with Paul. Another reason why is because his team hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. They don't work on commission. They really focus on education, and that's the biggest difference. They can take a look at your whole financial picture and then help you make some decisions that make sense for you. All you need to do to get the ball rolling, hit the website and set up a 15-minute phone call today. Go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
The guaranteed offer.
Do you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997WTN.com/epic.
Breaking news, the Supreme Court makes a ruling on whether Virginia should be allowed to purge non-citizens from its voter registration rolls. Also, we're hearing the first words from Vice President Kamala Harris over the garbage comment made by her boss. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. I proudly identify as a garbage pail kid. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I saw those comments flooding in on the text line. I was like, you got to use it, man.
Kamala, somebody said that?
Yeah, somebody said that on the text line. I thought you.
No, I wasn't jacking swag.
I mean, hey, great minds think alike.
Hey, listen, that's what we're here for. Kamala Harris did address the garbage comments.
Ooh.
She did her best. She did her best.
Biden took his comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
Biden took his comment last night.
Wait. She strongly disagrees with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. Didn't she say that he was having a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden? Hasn't she called him a dictator and a fascist and a Nazi?
No judgment, though.
I love what she says. He's clarified his comments. He clarified them. And the White House cleaned up the transcript, too, to make sure that there was an apostrophe. It was supporters.
Yeah, I saw it on the text line earlier. How do they hear an apostrophe?
Listen, you know that the cover-up is not working when even CNN wasn't buying that pathetic apostrophe line.
Well, and the White House is trying to say that what President Biden was saying, they're putting an apostrophe there in supporters, saying it's the singular, I guess referring to the comedian, that supporters comments. I mean, it's hard to really look at that when you can listen to it for yourself.
Yeah, listen, hey, evidence is a funny thing, right? you can hear it, you can listen to it.
He caught himself on camera.
It's right there for everybody. It's right there for everybody.
Away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Also, I would point out that he actually has a lot of support in Puerto Rico. There was a Trump caravan yesterday in Puerto Rico. They had a bunch of cars lined up, Trump flags everywhere. I don't know about the Puerto Rican I know, says Joe Biden. The Delaware Puerto Ricans are built different, I guess. I don't know.
He doesn't know either.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
How dare a comedian tell a joke at that Nazi rally? It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$9:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 66 now, going up to 82 in the sunshine. The Supreme Court has just voted to allow Virginia to implement a program that removes non-citizens from voter registration rolls. That decision came without explanation, and the three liberal justices dissented. Republicans have argued that trimming the voter rolls is a common sense way of ensuring that non-citizens don't vote. But the Biden administration argued that the program ensnared an unknown number of actual citizens. Moments ago, reporters caught up with Vice President Kamala Harris on a tarmac as she was about to board an airplane. They tried numerous times to ask her about the gaffe that made by President Biden in which he called Trump voters garbage. Take a listen.
Do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today to do what I have been doing throughout, which is talking with the American people about the fact that, first of all, I get it in terms of the concerns they have about challenges like the price of groceries.
The price of groceries. Earlier, she told a reporter that she strongly disagrees with criticizing people based on who they vote for. 2 people have been charged in 2 separate incidents in which campaign signs for Donald Trump were defaced. Mount Juliet police say one is a 16-year-old girl from Old Hickory, the other a 75-year-old man from Hermitage. He's been charged for spray painting the words felon and racist on signs in Wilson County. Now, vandalizing or stealing a political sign is classified as a misdemeanor, but it could come with a 1-year stay in prison and a fine of up to $2,500. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. My friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling do not want you to have a problem popping up with your heater when you need it the most. And one of the best ways to avoid that problem is to get your system maintained the right way, the Busy Bee way. You kick on that heater and you're getting that weird smell in the house, so that's a sign that you need to get it maintained. Call Busy Bee, and when you call them, don't just say I want the maintenance, say I want the Beehive Club membership, because that's the best value. It's only $99, and you get 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing. You get a 10% discount on all repairs should you need them. You get priority front-of-the-line service when you call them for help. You get a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. When I tell you that the Beehive Club membership pays for itself, that is a complete understatement. Busy Bee is your Rude Pro partner, and for satisfaction guaranteed, all you got to do is call Busy Bee, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. My AC guys, my heat guys are Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They should be yours, too. They're online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable? And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, it's terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala.
That's Donald Trump last night in Pennsylvania reacting in real time to the news that Joe Biden has called half of the country, more than half, garbage. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, 939. If you're just joining us, yeah, Joe Biden thinks you're garbage. I know it's probably not news to you. You probably could have guessed that from the jump, but these are the comments from Joe Biden last night via Voto Latino.
Rico, a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Now everybody is trying to clean it up, from the White House editing transcripts and adding apostrophes to the surrogates out there saying, hey, this is not a big deal. This is not a big deal, guys. Please, guys. Please look the other way. Please. Morning Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough was trying to clean it up this morning. The Western Lensman on Twitter, he calls them the MSDNC janitors. They're out there trying to clean it up.
And what he said was, and I'll just read a little bit here from the transcript. He just says that, I know Puerto Ricans from my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable and un-American. Now, some on the right have seized that comment to mean his supporters, meaning Donald Trump's supporters, meaning all Trump supporters, half the country, saying the president is calling them garbage. The White House is saying, no, there's an apostrophe there. He's talking about his supporter.
Listen, guys, it's a verbal apostrophe. You understand that. He wasn't talking about half of the country. No, of course not. Of course not. Please believe us, says the mainstream legacy media.
Meaning the comedian, his comments are unconscionable and un-American. That's the controversy last night. The president took to Twitter soon after the Zoom, tried to clean it up, clarifying that he was not talking about all of the Americans, but it is certainly half the American public. But it is certainly a controversy that the White House and the Harris campaign dealing with today. And as the right tries to make it, we're showing the tweet here from the president.
The right is trying to make this a controversy, guys. The right. It's your fault that this is becoming a controversy because Joe Biden called you garbage. Are you following along? Are you keeping score at home? Once again, this is the right ginning up hysteria. Okay. I mean, hey, it's quite the take. Let's hear what Joe Scarborough has to think about it.
A basket of deplorables.
Well, of course, and Donald Trump says shocking things every day in Fox News, and all of his apologists of the Republican Party immediately go to it and brush it off, explain it away, or just completely ignore it.
Well, actually, when the mainstream media makes things up about Donald Trump, we just present the full audio to give right context, like the dictator on day one joke that he made at a Sean Hannity town hall, or the bloodbath, when he was talking about the auto industry. See, what we'll do is we'll take the hoaxes of the mainstream media and the left, and then we'll provide context. See, when I took the longer clip of what's been going around for Biden and provided context, it actually made it much worse. But yeah, this is the hysteria of the right, you guys.
Here, they're trying to make a firestorm out of something that, again, if you look at it, you look at what he said immediately afterward, which Donald Trump didn't say. He immediately afterwards said, no, that's not what I meant. I was talking about the comedian and people that supported that kind of talk. But, Willie, Joe Biden obviously doesn't believe that. I
love how he says, if you look at what he immediately said afterwards, it's like, no, this This is what his handlers immediately said afterward. This is what the White House did with the transcript immediately afterward. They added an apostrophe. Oh, if you look at what he said immediately after, this is nothing. Right-wing hysteria.
That I forget what state it was in, but it was during a hurricane. After a hurricane, I believe, and Joe Biden went in. And he went and he talked to the crowd. Went over, talked to a guy who was a big Trump supporter, joked with him, put the hat on him. And again, trying to bring people together and even saying, hey, I'll wear your Trump cap. We're all on the same team.
But yeah, Joe's all about unity. He's all about unity. Listen, I don't have any reason to believe that Joe Biden thinks we're good people. None. And we have a mountain of evidence that says he doesn't think we're good people. I mean, we can go back to the pandemic of the unvaccinated. Remember that speech that he gave with the red background, like he was the Fuhrer of America? Remember when he mandated vaccines? Like, he doesn't care about half of this country. Not at all. Oh, but Donald Trump is so much worse. And they just ignore what he says. It's like, no. We actually zoom out and provide context in the entire clip. It's a good try. It's a applaudable try. We'll give you an A for effort. But we have the clip, we have the context, and we understand what was said. And when you zoom out, you have to understand that this is it's with a larger theme. The rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday was a Nazi rally. They've been calling him a dictator and a fascist. They're still standing by those comments. Still, today. Tim Walz was at a campaign rally last night, and he accused President Trump of literally trash-talking this country. This is what he said.
Trump last week called this country the garbage can for the world. Literally trash-talking this country.
Oh, is this one of these comments that the right-wing media is brushing off, or is this one of the comments taken out of context? Yeah, he says that other countries are dumping their trash into our country via emptying prisons and allowing murderers and rapists to come across our southern border. Yeah, they're dumping their trash people here. Yep, they are. They are. There's no lie there. Waltz also, he says, tens of millions of people are trying to rationalize voting for this guy. Essentially demonizing people that are going to vote for Donald Trump.
Look, people are trying to rationalize voting for this guy. I will say this. I think some people's memories are a little fuzzy about what 4 years ago was.
Yeah, it's not fuzzy at all. 4 years ago was a lot better in this country. We have the in-store prices to prove it. Waltz also claims that Americans got screwed by Donald Trump's tax cuts, which is news to me because I remember when those tax cuts went through, my wife, myself, our family, we were bringing in a lot more money.
4 years ago, when he tells you, were things better 4 years ago? Yeah, if you were a billionaire because you got a tax cut. The rest of us got screwed during the deal. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah, if you're a billionaire. They always go after billionaires. Elon Musk said, listen, I've probably paid the most taxes out of anybody in this country, about $10 billion in taxes. And let's not forget, the government doesn't make jobs for us. Businesses make jobs for us. About 80 to 90% of the jobs in this country aren't created by the government. So when you give businesses tax cuts, you actually help create more jobs. These people don't understand anything. All they can do is demonize Donald Trump. He's the worst. He's the absolute worst. And we're seeing a lot of stuff coming out of many different states when it comes to voting. Again, they're trying to demoralize the American people. And I know you've been paying attention to what's happening in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where they're turning people away from early voting lines. Pennsylvania voters frustrated over trying to turn in their mail-in ballots, get their mail-in ballots. There was a Fox News report, Brian Lennis providing details on voters' frustrations over on-demand mail ballot voting in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They're cutting the line off early. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of stuff here where I'm like, and I was talking to Mandis off the air about this, but I said some of this stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I should cover it because I don't want to demoralize people. Because I think that's what a lot of this is about, demoralizing you, making you think that the rig is in, we're not going to win because Democrats are going to cheat. I don't want to go down that route. But you see stories like this with what's happening in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and you're like, this is shady. It's absolutely shady. Michael Whatley was at the rally last night with Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Michael Whatley's the RNC co-chair with Laura Trump. And he was talking about Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and he says he's going to be filing a lawsuit.
Now, I know that a lot of you today have seen these videos of people being turned away at the polls in places like Delaware County and Bucks County. And last night, we even saw one of our great local leaders, Val Biancaniello, arrested at the polls for telling people to stay in line. All she was doing was telling folks, stay and vote. They took her away in handcuffs. Folks, here's what's happening. Democrat election officials are seeing our numbers. They're seeing our turnout. They are seeing us breaking early vote records across Pennsylvania. They are terrified, and they want to stop our momentum.
He's absolutely right. This is all coming from a place of fear with the Democrats.
We are not going to let them suppress our votes. We are going to fight. I'm proud tonight to tell you that the Trump-Vance campaign has just filed a huge lawsuit against Bucks County for turning away our voters. We are going to fight this thing in court, and all we ask of you is to stay in line. Donald Trump needs your votes. Donald Trump needs Pennsylvania, and America needs Pennsylvania.
Amen. Amen. All we're asking you to do is stay in line. One of the things that has been tough with this, again, I don't want to demoralize people. A lot of people are demoralized with the election process anyway after 2020. So I don't want people to think like my vote doesn't mean anything. They're going to cheat anyway. But what this shows is that the RNC is on offense more than they've ever been. I feel like in my lifetime, they're ready for this fight. They're going to have poll watchers. They're going to have lawyers. They have a team of volunteer lawyers. They're ready to go. So when you see this stuff, share it. Post it on your Twitter feed. Amplify it. But don't let it demoralize you. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I got to tell you about my friends at Kingdom Fence Company. They want their fence to tell the story of your land. When you call, ask for Dave. He's a great guy. He's the owner of the company. And one of the things that he told me when I met with him is they put their faith in their company so you can put their faith in their fence. Whatever kind of fence you need, chain, privacy, vinyl, aluminum, dog, or pool, residential, commercial, farm, or agriculture, they can get it done for you. 615-390-5891. 615-390-5891, Kingdom Fence Company, LLC.com.
What the vice president has to say about Joe Biden's garbage remark. Also, a Supreme Court decision that's seen as a victory in Virginia. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the poly market betting numbers right now has Trump at 67% of winning the election. Kamala Harris, 33.1. Do you think the garbage comments are going to help that? I don't know. What about the biggest donors for Kamala Harris doubling down on the comments? J.D. Vance tweeting just a couple hours ago at one of these donors, Vinod Khosla. I don't know the guy, but he said, garbage is an understatement for MAGA extremists. J.D. Vance says, one of Kamala's biggest donors doubling down on calling half the country garbage. Will Kamala and her campaign return his contributions, or will they continue to insult half the country for the sin of thinking Kamala Harris isn't good at her job? It does seem like some of the strategy is double down. Double down. Mark Preston, the vice president of political and special events programming at CNN, is saying we got to triple down. Democrats should triple down because calling Trump supporters garbage actually makes Democrats look strong.
I'm of the mindset that if you say it, you might as well just embrace it. And I do think that that's a problem for Democrats.
We're going to ask our strategist over here in a second.
Shocking, that I would say that. No, but realistically, I do think if he said, listen, yeah, I do mean all those racist supporters of Donald Trump. Yeah, I do think that they're terrible. I think that people would look at the Democratic Party a little bit different. I think, look, I do think that the Democratic Party in general doesn't look like they are strong enough, and they will always back off of things. And I think that when Joe Biden backs off of saying what he really believes, I don't think that's a good look.
Not a good look, he says. Double down, triple down. It makes us look strong. That's Mark Preston, vice president of political and special events programming at CNN. Embrace it. All those racist supporters of Donald Trump, it's like, does he understand how minimal, how minuscule the population of racists in this country even are? And if let me break it down for you. If you're a real racist, a real white supremacist, you probably don't like Donald Trump anyway because his kids all married Jewish people. It's probably frowned upon in racist communities. But hey, what do I know? But a humble radio DJ, So, double down, triple down. Bold strategy, Cotton. It's 10:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Reporters caught up with Vice President Kamala Harris this morning to ask her about President Biden's garbage remark last night regarding Trump supporters. She said she strongly disagrees with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. One reporter asked Harris if she is concerned that his comments could dissuade people from voting for her.
I've been very clear with the American public. I respect the challenges that people face. I respect the fact that we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and that most people want a president that understands that gets that.
She also said that she did speak with President Joe Biden last night, but this topic of conversation didn't come up. Happening right now, the Supreme Court has given Republican officials in Virginia the green light to restart a program that removed non-citizen voters from the rolls ahead of next week's election. The justices blocking a federal judge's ruling that put the program on hold. All three liberal justices dissented in this case. Virginia has same-day voter registration, meaning that any eligible voter who was removed from the rolls should still be able to vote. Well, in some places around the country, Election Day will look more like a war zone.
In Maricopa County, Arizona, where some people with guns showed up during the 2020 election vote count, officials are deploying a number of security measures this year. Drones and surveillance cameras to monitor activity around the building where the votes will be counted. officers on horseback to control unruly crowds, a SWAT team at the ready.
ABC's Pierre Thomas reporting. In Davidson County, voters are feeling the pinch of getting out to vote early. Yesterday saw the highest number of voters yet, with 18,522 people going to the polls. The location with the highest volume of voters is Hermitage Library, the lowest turnout at Goodlettsville Library. Early voting, by the way, ends tomorrow. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, just a few days ago, we were Nazis for going to New York, Madison Square Garden, because, you know, Nazis have held rallies there. And now we're garbage. And it seems like there's a divide within the Kamala campaign. Do we lean in and double down and just be like, yeah, they are garbage, or do we lie and say, no, guys, we didn't mean that. We didn't mean that. It depends on who you ask. Kamala Harris is trying to deflect. That's her goal. And there's video of her getting off the plane, and then she's talking with reporters. But the biggest video that I've seen that comes out of that is a video of her, and it's shown through the window of, I don't know what plane this is. Is it Air Force 2 or Marine Force 2 or whatever it is? It's one of the planes that they got. It's a nice plane. But you can see Kamala Harris sitting in the window, staring off into space as a staffer talks to her. And she just looks beaten down. She looks tired. She lets out a yawn. She's not making eye contact with her staffers. She looks exhausted. I want to take this video of her sitting there, staring off into space with a depressed look on her face, and play underneath it, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." You know, like it's not looking good for them. It's not. It's not. But she was asked about these comments by Joe Biden. Trump supporters are garbage.
Do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today to do what I have been doing throughout, which is talking with the American people about the fact that, first of all, I get it in terms of the concerns they have about challenges like the price of groceries.
I don't know if you noticed it, but the question was, do you sympathize with voters who feel offended or insulted by the garbage comment? And Kamala Harris responds by completely dodging the question. This is at Joint Base Andrews. She's on the tarmac, and then she actually defends Biden calling President Trump supporters garbage.
Biden took his comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
Yeah, just yesterday, she was calling us Nazis.
Biden took his comment.
Right? That was just a day ago. That was just a day ago. But today, she's calling for unity, guys. And listen, I think we can believe her.
Whether we are going to be a nation of people who attempt to unify and break through this era of divisiveness, or are we going to be a nation of people who has the president stewing in the Oval Office over his enemies list?
Oh yeah, he's looking at his enemies list. Okay. Kamala Harris doing her best to clean up on aisle 3. I don't think it's going to work. But listen, she's got a plan. She wants to lay out her economic plan while she's on the tarmac.
I have a very specific and detailed plan about strengthening our economy. Leading economists have reviewed my plan and indicated it will strengthen the economy and that Donald Trump's plan will weaken the economy.
Oh, that's nice. She doesn't give any specifics about her plan. She doesn't. The big takeaway is she refuses to condemn those comments from Joe Biden. She actually covered for him. Said, well, he clarified those comments. Okay. She doesn't care. Let's be honest. She fully believes those comments. She's expressed as much by calling you Nazis and bigots and racists and homophobes and transphobes and xenophobic. I mean, all the phobics. We've gotten all the phobics and all the isms. We've been labeled everything under the sun. Calling us garbage isn't the worst thing in the world. But this is what they want. This is what they want. And then they also preach unity at the exact same time. This is Tim Waltz.
Last night, Vice President Harris said she would seek common ground with people who disagree with her, saying she's going to work with everyone. But how is she going to find common ground with people who supported Donald Trump, someone she calls a wannabe dictator and a petty tyrant?
Well, good morning, George. Yeah, the vice president's rhetoric is the rhetoric that a president of the United States gives.
Oh, all right. That's just, listen, guys, it's part and parcel. Part and parcel. This is par for the course. That's just the rhetoric that the president gives. Okay. Now, she can continue demonizing more than half the country. That's fine. That's what the left is going to do. On the flip side, Trump yesterday is saying, no, I'm going to be fighting for the country, all of the country. And we got 7 days to go. This is from yesterday, 6 days now. But he's going to fight even harder after he wins.
So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully... And then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, it's just the difference couldn't be more clear. There's one guy promising a better future. There's another one demonizing half of the country. That's what we got. That's where we're at. And there's a lot of signs that Trump could be winning. Not a sign to be complacent. Steve Bannon said it yesterday. The biggest enemy is the couch right now. Don't get complacent. Donald Trump is not complacent. And he's used to the attacks. He's used to being demonized. He's used to his supporters being demonized. And he says, listen, this rhetoric from them, inexcusable.
2 assassination attempts in just over 3 months. Her lies and her slanders are very shameful and really inexcusable.
And this is before the President Biden garbage comments yesterday.
And I can say that if I were president and somebody was being threatened, openly threatened like they've threatened me, I would say, if you do that, even if this was an opponent who I disliked, if you do that, we will obliterate your entire country, and it would all stop. But they wouldn't make that statement. They won't make that statement.
No, they'd rather demonize. That's what they'd rather do. All this being said, Kamala Harris did get to make her closing argument yesterday. It's really weird that they keep calling this the closing argument. This was yesterday. She had a speech at the Ellipse. It's the same spot where Donald Trump was on January 6th. So this is, they had to do it here. They keep calling it her closing argument. I don't understand why they would call it her closing argument. There's 7 days left in the campaign. It doesn't make any sense to me. But she's at the Ellipse yesterday, and within seconds of her closing arguments, it's actually poetic and beautiful. She's in D.C., and within seconds of her closing argument, she's drowned out by the blaring sirens in the background.
1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love.
Is it? I mean, it's kind of funny. The sirens going in the background. I'm not sure if that was police sirens or the pro-Palestine protesters that were out in full force during that rally, which we'll talk about in a second. Either way, hilarious. Hilarious. She can't do anything correctly. They couldn't even secure the area. DC's fallen apart since they've been in control. Completely fallen apart. But listen, it wasn't about that. It was about Donald Trump yesterday at the Ellipse. And she had to bring up January 6th.
Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol.
They weren't armed. I don't understand how she can get away with this lie. She sounds tired. She sounds beaten down. The sirens in the background are affecting her. Her body language is poor. She looks exhausted. Yet, she still has the energy to lie to the American public. He sent an armed mob. No. He said march peacefully and patriotically to let your voices be heard. There were lunatics already raiding the Capitol before his speech was even over. And there was plenty of people encouraging individuals to go into the Capitol and storm the Capitol that, they didn't get a knock on their door from the FBI at 3 a.m. That was only reserved for praying grandmothers. But hey, don't let a good narrative get in the way. Don't let facts get in the way of a good narrative.
Spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost.
That's up for debate.
Americans died as a result of that attack.
Yeah, one. Ashley Babbitt. She was an unarmed veteran and she was shot by a Capitol police officer.
140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what?
according to unnamed sources.
America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office.
Well, listen, the flip side is you're asking us for another 4 years in the Oval Office, and let's talk about what you've given us from a disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, a wide-open southern border, rampant inflation, housing market crisis. Do you hear yourself? Because under Donald Trump, we had no new wars. We had record-setting job growth. We had the lowest unemployment for so many different groups in this country. We were making money. We're making money. I'll take mean tweets and cheap gas. That's my route. Don't stop though, Kamala. Don't. Hey, listen. Why not during your speech? You should lean in on disproven hoaxes. That was probably an idea from a campaign staffer that wrote some of this, and Kamala looked at it and said, "Yeah, I'm in."
As Commander-in-Chief, I will make sure America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has shown his contempt for our nation's heroes, calls them suckers and losers, called a 4-star Marine general a, quote, lowlife. I will always honor, never denigrate the service and sacrifice of our troops and their families.
Yeah, those troops and their families actually didn't even want to take your call after the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. And Donald Trump calls them suckers and losers. How many times has that been debunked? Routinely debunked. I played a video the other day after the Joe Rogan interview from a guy named Clint Trial. And Clint was a Marine Corps veteran who in 2019 lost both of his legs when he stepped on an IED. And after the podcast with Joe Rogan, where people said, wow, we really got an inside look at Donald Trump. Like, he's not who the media portrays. And you can go to the comment section yourself on YouTube and see many, many people making that same statement. Clint posted a video about the real Donald Trump, and it was the Donald Trump who visited him in the hospital after his legs had been blown off to present him with a Purple Heart. But yeah, continue with your lies about how he shows contempt for our nation's heroes. That's all it is. A massive, massive lie. Kamala had more to say at her closing argument with 7 days left in the election. She had a lot more to say. She was pushing more untruths, and she really wanted to focus on the border. I'll play you what she said on the way. You're not going to believe it. All right, well, spoiler alert. She's pretty tough on the border. I know. I'll play you the clip on the way. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got 6 days till this election, man, and it could not be more important. We want to take in all the results with you at our election night watch party, which is happening at the Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon, Tennessee. One of the guys that are coming are our friends over at the Glock store. And when they come to a party, these guys know parties, they bring the goodies. So this time, they're having a huge giveaway. Third place wins the tactical rehydration mugs that are exclusive to the Glock store and awesome. Second place wins some free training sessions at the Glock store, which if you've never trained there, it's the only way to train. Private shooting rooms with an instructor, no lanes. And then top prize from our friends at the Glock store at our election night watch party is a laser engraved Trump Take America Back Glock. This thing is gorgeous. I wish I could win it myself. It's got Donald Trump's likeness on one side. It's got the American flag and the eagle on the other. You're going to want to win this gun. You got to be at our election night watch party to win the gun. You can get yourself some more info on the party at 997WTN.com. And if you want to throw a party, do it at the Glock store. Birthday parties, retirement celebrations, even corporate team building. Glockstore.com to get your party started. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products? With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Coming up, Virginia picks up a win in the Supreme Court. Also, the vice president answers reporters' questions on the tarmac, specifically about the garbage comment. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. Looking forward to that newscast. We are proud Garbage Pail Kids here at WTN. It's funny, you know. This is the big one today. Biden calls us garbage. It's like, it's actually an improvement over what we've been called these past couple weeks. It's actually trending up. It's trending up. So I'll take it. Kamala yesterday, she was giving her closing arguments at the Ellipse. It's my closing argument just 7 days before the election. I don't understand why they would phrase it that way. There's time left, right? Wouldn't you assume that there's time left?
Doesn't it maybe acknowledge that a lot of people are early voting?
Maybe. But it would still seem to me that you got to do that closer to the end. I just don't understand. Closing argument that means I don't have to listen to you anymore.
Yeah. What do they call this? The election lab at the University of Florida saying today that 53 million Americans have already voted.
Yes.
Not you. I know.
I'm waiting till election day.
I know.
Listen, I dug my heels in, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it day of. But I'm not knocking you for early voting. Vote whatever way you need to. I saw that the returns are 41% Democrat, 40% Republican on those early voting numbers.
Are they basing that on the person's registration?
Yes.
Okay. I think that could be wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the numbers look like. We're not going to know until days after the election. We'll find out. But Kamala had her closing arguments yesterday at the Ellipse. And listen, she's tough on the border. And she had to make that case.
Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. and instead treat it as the serious challenge that it is, that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed.
Do you notice the crowd was so riled up when she said, we're not going to use immigration to scare up votes?
Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election.
Then when she turns into saying we got to treat it as a serious issue, the crowd goes silent. Her supporters are rabid, radical leftists. As soon as she says that we need to treat immigration as the serious challenge that it is, the crowd, you could hear a pin drop. They're like, here we go. Not radical enough for your radical base. But if she wants to treat immigration as a serious issue, you'd have to ask, why'd you get rid of the Trump-era policies that were working? Why did you stop building the wall? Why did you sell the materials that were going to be used to build the wall? Why did you sue Arizona to get rid of the shipping container wall? Why did you sue Texas to get rid of the razor wire at Eagle Pass? If you're treating it as a serious challenge that it is, why would you make it harder for states to fight illegal immigration? These are questions I have. Her supporters, they don't have these questions. And she made a big claim, a claim that we've heard before, that she's going to prosecute transnational gangs. She's the only one that ever prosecuted transnational gangs.
And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully, prosecute the cartels, and give Border Patrol the support they so desperately need.
You've been vice president for 3.5 years with a brain dead president, so essentially you've been running the show. You're telling us that you're going to remove illegal aliens and prosecute cartels, but only after you get people's vote. And we know that there's almost 450,000 convicted criminals, 450,000 convicted criminal illegal aliens roaming our streets. Known, including over 13,000 convicted of homicide, thousands convicted of sexual assault. This is happening while you're in charge right now. But don't worry, she promises when you vote for her, that's when she'll start to fix things. Have you noticed the theme here? Kamala is going to do all the things in her first term that she didn't do as vice president. And Donald Trump is also going to do all the evil things he didn't do his first term when he becomes president. That's the messaging that we're getting from the Democrats. It tracks. It tracks. There were a lot of protesters outside this rally. A lot. They were disrupting her every chance they got, and it got a little dicey after the rally ended. We'll talk about the protesters outside of Kamala Harris's closing arguments at the Ellipse next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 70, and we're headed up to 82 degrees later. Want to let you know that there is an overturned vehicle blocking the right lane on 840 southbound just before Couchville Pike, exit 67, and the traffic is stop and go around that traffic accident. A divided Supreme Court has given Virginia the okay to remove people from the voter rolls if they've already identified as non-citizens. That decision came down this morning, all three liberal justices dissenting. Earlier, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin told Fox News that he believed removing non-citizens was absolutely legal.
And it starts with a basic premise that when someone walks into one of our DMVs and self-identifies as a non-citizen, and then they end up on the voter rolls, either purposely or by accident, that we go through a process, individualized, not systematic, an individualized process based on that person's self-identification as a non-citizen to give them 14 days to affirm they are a citizen, and if they don't, they come off the voter rolls.
Youngkin says the Justice Department did not oppose the law until now because Virginia is, as he calls it, in play. So how does Vice President Kamala Harris feel about Joe Biden's garbage remark regarding Trump supporters? She was asked that question on the tarmac as she was about to board Air Force Two this morning. Could be a little tough to hear.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
She also said she hasn't addressed those comments with her boss yet.
He did call me last night, but this didn't come up.
He called her last night, but it didn't come up. Well, if you've got some Dynacare baby powder at home, you'll want to hear this one. The FDA recalling that baby powder because there is potentially asbestos in the powder. The 14 and 4 ounce plastic bottles of Dynacare baby powder sold in a number of states, including Tennessee and Kentucky. The FDA says return it to the store for a refund. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 10:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I got to tell you about my friends at United Structural Systems. USS. They are your foundation repair experts, and they've been doing it in Middle Tennessee since 1994. You get it. When you're a homeowner and you see these warning signs for what could be a large repair, you look the other way. You don't want to see the warning signs. You're afraid of what you're going to hear. And this is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. This could be something big that needs to be fixed, or it could be something small, or it could be nothing at all. But the bottom line is you don't want somebody coming to your house and selling you a bill of goods. You want somebody that's going to give you peace of mind. And United Structural Systems is the company to do that. This is how they've gotten over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers. When USS comes to your home, you're going to get a problem solver. They'll give you peace of mind. They'll talk to you about what's happening. They're not worried about a sales quota. They're not trying to upsell you on the next big thing. They're just trying to fix your problem. And they're happy to tell you if there's no problem at all. This is what I love about USS, and it's that attitude and that culture at their company that has helped them keep their employees year after year after year. When you get an employee from USS coming to your home, you're getting an expert. So if you have some foundation repair or waterproofing work to be done, get the peace of mind from USS. They'll give you an honest diagnosis, and they'll stand by their work and their warranties. USS, they're the guys that homeowners trust. They're going to keep your home dry and stable. Call them today at 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, online at USSTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The first is every person in this room needs to understand you are not in a despised minority. You are in an incredibly gentle and tolerant majority who put up with this crap for way too long. As they insulted not only you, but the memory of your ancestors who died for this country. They tore down statues to their memory. People have never built anything in their lives. They went out of their way to humiliate you and spit on you and the graves of your ancestors. And that's not an exaggeration. They did that. And this country is so nice. It's so polite. It's so thoughtful and empathetic and sweet. It's the kind of country that loves dogs and gives directions to strangers that we put up with it for 4 years. But we can't anymore. We just can't.
That was Tucker Carlson. I believe that was in Georgia, and it just felt timely. You know, as the president of the United States is calling you, myself, everyone we know and love garbage for supporting Donald J. Trump. We're garbage. We're garbage. That's the big news today. We're garbage. Never mind that Kamala Harris has radical leftists protesting outside of her rally last night in D.C. We're the ones that are garbage. And the protests last night were just insane. Insane. You're not going to see this coverage on ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CBS. You're not even really going to see it on Fox. But it was crazy. Attendees of Vice President Kamala Harris's rally at the Ellipse had to scale. They had to climb over the fences surrounding the event because the exit gates after the speech were closed, apparently due to pro-Palestine supporters and protesters on the other side. There's so many videos coming out that there was so much confusion after this speech that police wouldn't allow people to leave the speech because of the protesters, and a lot of people were forced to trying to push down these huge fences that you've seen erected around the Capitol. And they were mad at police. They were mad at police. Police weren't letting them out. There's all these videos. I mean, you can see the flashing red lights. You can see Kamala Harris supporters resorting to climbing over the fence to get away from these protesters. Insane. Insane. There's footage of a mob chasing a woman with an American flag. No peep of this. They're the party of tolerance and unity, right? Insanity. But hey, don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's all part of the plan. I think they're nervous. This morning on CBS, Tim Walz was asked about the controversy of Biden calling Trump supporters garbage.
I want to put it into a larger context of your recent comment comparing the Sunday Trump rally to a Nazi rally. And I would also throw in there Obama's bitter clingers, guns and religion comment from a while back, the deplorable line from Hillary Clinton's campaign, and the way that Democrats are seen by some voters as disrespecting them. And I have to ask, does that undercut this closing message of unity from your campaign?
No, certainly not.
Certainly not. No. The sitting president calling Trump supporters garbage doesn't derail the message of unity. Of course not. Me calling Trump supporters Nazis and saying that they're attending a Nazi rally, guys, that actually reinforces unity in a Democrat utopia. We're actually doing more unity now than ever before. Okay. I will tell you one thing. There's a guy by the name of Brad Todd, and he was on CNN yesterday after this speech from Kamala Harris at the Ellipse, and he said, I don't understand why they let her do the speech there. He says it doesn't make sense to put her in front of this White House, he says. He even calls it political malpractice.
I hate to be the skunk at the garden party here, but I think, I plan political events for a living, and I think this was political malpractice to put her in front of this White House. 68% of Americans think that the country's on the wrong track, and they blame Joe Biden, and increasingly they're blaming Kamala Harris. By standing in front of that White House tonight, she's going to own all 68% of that disapproval. And, I think it's a comfort reason. I think Northwest Washington, D.C. is about her best precinct in America. Everybody likes her there. She should have been in the Union Lodge in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh tonight. That would have done her a lot more good. And I also don't think that she did a lot for Nikki Haley voters. They've talked a lot this week about that they were going after Haley voters. And I think the Haley voters had to be looking at this as like a Christmas present they opened up and it was socks. They got nothing new from her, nothing that wasn't in her convention speech, frankly. And I don't think this moves the ball for her here at the end.
Listen, he has a lot of truth there. The one thing that kind of took me off guard was the mention of Nikki Haley. They got to go after Nikki Haley voters. Okay. I don't know. I don't think Nikki Haley is particularly relevant at all. I just don't. Nikki Haley was actually on Fox the other day. I think this was yesterday with Neil Cavuto. Yes, Neil. And she's admittedly butthurt that she hasn't gotten a call from the Trump campaign. She's so soft and so egocentric. She's like, why haven't they called me?
The Associated Press says as Democrats court Haley supporters, the former UN ambassador is still waiting to hear from Trump.
I would tell her, keep waiting. Keep waiting.
When was the last time you talked to the former president?
Last time I talked to him was back in June.
It brings a special kind of joy to my heart to hear that. We don't need neocon Nikki anywhere near the Trump administration. We don't need her out there shilling for votes. She should go on a stage with Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris.
So are you surprised that you haven't been deployed out to campaign, or have you volunteered to go out and campaign for him directly?
I mean, they're very aware that we're on standby. They know that we would be there to help. I've helped with some fundraising letters and text messages and those types of things. So we've done that. But look, we're on the same team. It is their campaign's decision on what he needs in these last final days. It does not bother me at all.
It clearly bothers you. I mean, you're going on Fox News to talk about this. I will say this. I'm glad that you're not involved in the campaign. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm not going to forget all of the things that you said about President Trump during the campaign. I'm not. I'm not. I think she's a trash person. I think she's a neocon, and I think she's exactly the type of Republican that we don't want in this new Republican Party. We can't forget what she did. And I also think it's important to point out, Donald Trump with his new transition team coming in months early, getting things started way earlier. We're not going to have neocons like Nikki getting recommended for jobs in this new Trump administration. And for that, I say thank you. Trump is right not to trust her. Trump shouldn't have her anywhere near any kind of political event. And I can't stand this woman. I really can't. There's no redeeming qualities about her. Brad Todd on CNN said, Kamala didn't have a message for Nikki Haley voters. And I would argue maybe there aren't any Nikki Haley voters to send a message to. But, hey, I don't know. I don't know why you would say we need to send a message to Nikki Haley voters. How much money did she spend to come in last? A lot of money to come in last. With 6 days before the election, I didn't want to be talking about Nikki Haley, but Nikki Haley wants us talking about Nikki Haley, so she went on Fox News to complain about President Trump not including her. So sad. So sad. Somebody send Nikki some flowers. My condolences. But Brad Todd, back to CNN, the ellipse speech. He says, this is a huge mistake putting her in front of the White House, because then Americans are going to see that she's part of the problem and she's not going to be able to get past this administration's failures.
I think people see her in the White House. They see her in this White House, and they see that she says she would do nothing different from Joe Biden. She told Anderson in your town hall, she said she couldn't think of mistakes she'd made in this last 4 years. I think the problem she has and the reason that she's in trouble right now is because she can't get past this administration's failure. I think people.
He's right. He's right. You can't get past this administration's failure, whether it's the wide open southern border, whether it's the Afghanistan withdrawal, whether it's the rampant inflation that we've been dealing with, the in-store prices, whether it's the turmoil around the world. You cannot get past it. Oh, I know what we should do. We should call Nikki Haley. Said no one. Said no one. Andy in Columbia, you got a comment on Kamala Harris. What's up, Andy?
Hey, two comments. One, isn't it interesting that the Democrats use fences to keep people in instead of keeping them out?
Yeah, and listen, they weren't very good fences. The Kamala supporters aren't exactly the most athletic bunch, and they were able to climb over the fences. If I was the guy in charge of hiring a contractor, I would hit up Kingdom Fence Company, LLC.com. But that's just me.
Absolutely. But my main point was, I'm sort of a logical kind of guy. I believe that what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. If Donald Trump is a Nazi because he had a rally at Madison Square Gardens where there was a Nazi rally 80-plus years ago, then the fact that Kamala chose to have a rally where Donald Trump had made a January 6th speech, and if he is an insurrectionist, does that not mean that she's inciting an insurrection?
I think you got a good point, Andy. There was also, and I appreciate your call. Yeah, if Donald Trump can be called a Nazi because he held a Madison Square Garden rally, we can call Kamala an insurrectionist because she held a speech at the same spot where Donald Trump launched an insurrection. I'll point out the Klan also had a rally there one time. Maybe she's a Ku Klux Klan member insurrectionist because she had a speech at the same exact location. Corey in the borough, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Corey?
Oh, not much, my friend. Thanks for taking my call. Just want to say I've always had a theory that at some point the Democrats recently for sure are going to have Joe Biden just resign altogether just so they could put put Kamala Harris in there for however short amount of time. And I just think with the comment like garbage and everything else, especially if Trump is declared the winner, I have a theory that they're going to have him resign in that last 6 weeks or so. It's going to be a Kamala Harris just so they can have the quote unquote win as a first woman president just for that win alone. And they'll have that going like gangbusters in 28.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't think part of me thinks that they didn't see this as a winning opportunity anyway, especially after that assassination attempt. And I think
even more so to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. Nothing would surprise me. But I don't know what happens next. I appreciate the call though. Maybe they do install Kamala Harris. Maybe they push Joe out. I think the garbage comment really just proves that Joe Biden likes Donald Trump more than he likes Kamala Harris, plain and simple. But hey, what do I know? On the way, we got a lot more to cover. A lot more. Biden had some other remarks yesterday, and it wasn't just calling half of Trump supporters, half the country Trump supporters garbage. He also threatened Trump a bit when talking about Puerto Rico during his remarks. Steve Bannon was also released from prison yesterday, and he had a fire press conference we'll get to, and also election issues. There's a lot of election updates to get to. We got voter boxes being set on fire. We got Supreme Court decisions. We'll break it all down on the way. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997WTN.com/epic. Go there now.
Got a crash on 840 in Lebanon. It is causing a 42-minute delay. It is southbound 840 right before you get to Nashville Superspeedway over there in Lebanon. We got the top stories coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know how I know we're winning? Because we're having fun. The other side, they're just caught up in anger. His supporters are garbage. They can have that.
Somehow you've got to work in a Kamala.
We just got to keep having fun. That's all we need to do. That's all it takes.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. It seems like the comments of Biden's comments of Trump supporters being garbage. It seems like the strategy from the left is double down. And that's what I've been seeing all morning. There's a Congress rep, Mikey Sherrill. She's out of New Jersey, and she's going the double down route.
If I could just follow up, though, on what President Biden said. Are you concerned that the president's comments will hurt the vice president politically? And do you think it would just be best at this point if the president were to just let the vice president run her campaign in these final days before the election and maybe just stay out of it?
You know, I think what was so interesting to me with your last guest is here Biden, cleaned up what he said. He said, look, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. It was pretty clear if you look at it in context.
Well, I looked at it in context over and over. I agree. It was pretty clear what he meant. And what he meant was, hey, you're garbage. It's not the worst thing I've been called, actually. We'll discuss that on the way. Plus, we got some voting updates. I got stories out of Colorado, Nevada, and Virginia. We'll break it all down. Plus, Steve Bannon out of jail. And he's a man on a mission. It's 11:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Repeating that crash causing a 40-minute delay in Lebanon. This is 840 southbound right before Couchville Pike. It's between 40 and the Nashville Superspeedway. And it is southbound 840. An overturned vehicle. The right lane is blocked, so get to the left. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. 6 days before the election, a razor-thin margin separates the two presidential hopefuls in the battleground state of Georgia. Officials have launched online dashboards with running totals on early voting. Despite the transparency, Gabriel Sterling, the chief operating officer in the Georgia Secretary of State's office, is anticipating post-election lawsuits.
Who wins will decide who sues us. So if Vice President Harris wins, we expect Trump officials to sue us. If President Trump wins, we expect Harris officials to sue us.
New numbers out from the government show the economy is growing, people spending money. The Commerce Department says U.S. economy grew at a 2.8% pace from July through September. Consumer confidence also up by 3.7%. Jared Bernstein, chair of the United States Council of Economic Advisors, telling ABC News people are making more money than they were a few years ago.
2.8% GDP growth in the third quarter is well above the trend, the underlying trend of GDP growth. And recent reports have also been there. This president has posted an annualized growth rate of over 3%. That puts him way high up in the rankings.
Dozens of people killed after an Israeli strike in northern Gaza happened in the town of Beit Laia as Israel faces new scrutiny on its war with Hamas from the international community and the U.S. Here's Britt Clennett.
The State Department saying they haven't gotten a full explanation from Israel about why they struck this building. At least 93 Palestinians killed, including 25 children. That's according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Now, I spoke to an Israeli military official just a little earlier. He said soldiers targeted a man who was acting suspiciously. They claimed the IDF did not know that so many people were taking shelter in that building.
This strike comes as the U.S. is warning military aid to Israel could be on the line if humanitarian conditions in northern Gaza don't improve. Now that the source of an E. coli outbreak has been traced to raw onions on Quarter Pounders, McDonald's trying to limit the damage to its business. Jim Ryan says those onions have been taken off the burger in 900 locations.
A research company that tracks the restaurant industry says foot traffic at McDonald's in the United States was down 9.5% at the end of last week from year-ago levels, with the heaviest declines in states where the E. coli outbreak was centered. Just before the first cases were diagnosed, the company reported that global revenue rose 3% to $6.8 billion in the third quarter.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1107 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. A lot of times I'll repost some audio if people are asking what, they want the video for the clips that we're playing. I put them on my Twitter account. And I made Mason make a Twitter account today.
Yeah. I officially joined X.
Welcome.
I'm here. If you guys want to follow me, I'm Mason's burner account, ACC. On Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it.
It's Mason Burner ACC.
Yep, that's me.
That's what I told him. I said, you got to make at least a burner account.
Yeah.
Normally when you make burner accounts, you don't use your real name.
Nah, but I was like, whatever. We're sticking to it. I almost called it Mason's Pager to see if it blows up. But I thought that might be too much.
I would have liked it. All right, follow Mason.
What happens. We'll see what happens.
Mason Burner ACC, if you want to.
I'll be here.
You'll follow back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Perfect. I forced him into it. But find me on Twitter as well, at Chris Hand on Air. We're breaking down the latest news of the day. And there's a lot of stories about the election issues happening all over the country. I want to start with a win. Breaking this morning, Supreme Court has weighed in after Virginia asked them to intervene in the Biden-Harris administration's demand that they allow non-citizens to vote in the upcoming presidential election. You got to get those non-citizen votes, right? This is after a judge sided with the administration and said that the state was required to let those people who are not citizens vote in the coming election. Post Millennial has the story. The order came down, in the pending days case came down 6-3 and will allow the state to comply with their own longstanding law to purge non-citizens from their voter rolls. Attorney General Merrick Garland claimed that Virginia was violating federal election law by continuing to purge voting rolls within 90 days of an election. How dare you remove those non-citizens, you racist bigot state of Virginia. This is panic and desperation from the left. I don't know if you noticed yesterday, there was a lot of news. The Harris campaign moved a lot of advertising money from North Carolina to Virginia. And that tells me two things. The lack of a cleanup from Hurricane Helene from the federal government, the lack of a response has essentially sealed the deal for Trump in North Carolina. Right? That's how I feel. I think that the lack of the government coming in and helping when they needed it, people are fed up. And I think North Carolina is going to Trump, and I think them moving those advertising dollars out of there really, solidifies that in my mind. And it tells me another thing. They're moving the advertising dollars from North Carolina to Virginia. It means that they're scared about what's going to happen in Virginia, and they should be scared about what's going to happen in Virginia. Things have only gotten worse in this country under Biden and Harris since the surprise election of Governor Glenn Youngkin. I can only imagine that the state of Virginia has gotten more conservative, more steadfast in those ideals since that election of Governor Youngkin. And today, with this ruling coming down, Democrats in the state are biting their nails. A judge ruled that Virginia must stop removing non-citizens and must notify those who were removed that they are eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Governor Glenn Youngkin didn't want that, so he appealed the ruling to the Supreme Court, and the court has ruled in favor of Virginia and Governor Glenn Youngkin. You can take those voters off. On the complete other side of the country, it's not as easy. There's a report from the Public Interest Legal Foundation, and it reveals that election officials in Alameda County, California, have been systematically registering non-citizens to vote by not verifying or by simply ignoring the immigration status of the people they interview and assess. And this has been going on since 2004. It's a conspiracy theory, they told us, right? This is just a conspiracy theory that's been happening for 20 years. It's a conspiracy theory. Take off your tinfoil hat. But this report released by the foundation, Public Interest Legal Foundation, it shows that election officials in Alameda registered foreign nationals from China and around the world, even if those persons acknowledged during questioning that they were not U.S. citizens. This phenomenon has been discovered, has been considered and been business as usual in the county for at least 20 years. At least 20 years. And the data obtained by PILF, there were 54 examples of non-citizens being allowed to vote. States should enact safeguards against non-citizens voting and registering to vote. PILF President J. Christian Adams said in an emailed statement to Just the News. Remember, we had a thing that was going to fix this. It was called the SAVE Act, but they called us conspiracy theorists for pushing it. Don't believe that, you conspiracy theorists. Okay. All right. There's also developing stories. This one in Colorado, which, I mean, you could chalk this up as a disaster. Secretary of State Jenna Griswold admits counting fraudulent ballots in this election. The Secretary of State is accused of covering up this security breakdown where election equipment passwords have been published on the Secretary of State's official website, quietly corrected without public announcement or remedy. More than 600 BIOS passwords for voting system components in 63 of the state's 64 counties were publicly shared in a file on the Secretary of State Jenna Griswold's website. This is from a website called the Rocky Mountain Voice. An unnamed state official discreetly removed the passwords on Thursday, October 24th, the release states. The passwords were not encrypted or otherwise protected. This means they were available for public consumption. The Colorado Republican Party email reads. The file may have been posted publicly since August, with the amended file posted October 24th. The passwords allow access for knowledgeable users to fundamentally manipulate systems and data. There's things about this that really bug me. One of the things that bugs me the most is I don't want to discourage people from voting. I don't want to be a doomer and see these kind of stories and say, oh, there's nothing we can do. I do think that we can win this election. I do think that it can be too big to rig. But these stories are troublesome. You got Colorado exposing these passwords. That's troublesome. You got California registering illegals to vote since 2004. In Nevada, they're going to receive and count ballots without postmarks received up to 3 days after the election. Yep. The Nevada Supreme Court ruled Monday that the ballots received up to 3 days after Election Day can still be counted, even if they have no postmark. Yeah, I know. Hey, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? This one, 3 days after with no postmark seems a little bit troublesome. Does it not? I think it's a little troublesome. So you got issues happening, and then in Oregon, you got people saying don't use Marcola mailboxes to send ballots because keys were stolen from the United States Postal Service. On Monday, election officials in Lane County, Oregon, informed the public not to use 2 United States Postal Service mailboxes in Marcola to drop mail-in ballots after it was discovered that a key used to open the mailboxes was stolen during a break-in at the city's post office overnight. That's nice. That's nice. This is after we've seen fires in some of these drop boxes in the left coast as well. The fires in the drop boxes are wild. One of the underreported statements is that one of the underreported facts on this is that they were pro-Palestinian activists that set those ballot drop boxes on fire. It's nice. It's nice. But maybe that shows that if you're in one of these leftist states, right? Most of these ballot drop boxes are going to be for Kamala, I would imagine, right? Wouldn't you think that too? It shows that the radical leftists do not approve of her. They don't approve of her whatsoever. But, we got to keep going. Again, I see these stories out of Bucks County where they're disenfranchising voters. They're not letting them stand in line. And I want to cover all these stories as accurately as I can, and I also don't want to demoralize anybody. It's like it's a fine line to walk. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of people in the office, in the audience that'll text in and say, the Democrats are going to cheat. There's no way we can win, and it's like sometimes I feel like that's what they want you to feel. Steve Bannon got released from prison yesterday, and he said our biggest opponent right now is the couch. And I see some of these stories, and I worry that they are just demoralization tactics. I do. I worry about that. That's just me. That's just me. Steve Bannon, after getting out of prison yesterday, I think if you're going to describe him in one word, demoralized is far from the word that I would use.
When you say the podcast number is off slightly, right? It hasn't. We were the largest podcast, but we're streaming. We stream on television, and we play on radio and online. And Nancy Pelosi thought a federal prison was going to break me. Well, it empowered me. God bless you. It empowered me. I am more empowered today, more focused today, sharper today, in better shape today than I've ever been in my entire life. So Nancy Pelosi, suck on that.
The defiant Steve Bannon after being released from prison yesterday. I love it, man. I'm here for it. And he's pointing out that he was behind bars because of the weaponized justice system. right? And he says something here that I love. He says, if you're not prepared to be thrown in prison by this weaponized Justice Department, well, you're not ready to fight. You're not ready to step up. You're not where you need to be.
From Tim Miller's own lips, a high degree of recidivism. No, because Kamala Harris, the Biden regime, Merrick Garland, Nancy Pelosi weaponize the justice system in this country against their political opponents. And so if that continues on, right, you may see that. If that continues on, but like I said, I am proud that I went as a political prisoner to Danbury Prison. I served my country on a Navy destroyer in my 20s, and I served my country in a federal prison in my 70s. If you're not prepared to be thrown in prison by this weaponized Justice Department, then you're not prepared to stand up and fight for your country. And I will never back down from that.
I love it. I'm here for it. You got to be ready. You have to be ready. He also made the point that he could have been out sooner because of the First Step Act, which Donald Trump, that evil orange man put in place.
Math works out if you take 120 days from July 1st till today, that's what my sentence was. Remember, the Bureau of Prisons said last week, the Bureau of Prison admitted I was eligible for part of the First Step Act. I should have been out on September 19th, according to the law of the First Step Act. Now, I'm just there on a misdemeanor for 4 months. You have individuals that have been there that are rotting years after their release date, that today don't know the release date for their families. This is destroying families. The First Step Act is not an executive order. The First Step Act is not just some sort of concept. It is a law. And the Justice Department and the Bureau of Prisons are, by criminal negligence, not implementing that law. And they're not implementing that law for one reason, because to implement it the way it's supposed to be implemented is a massive political victory for President Trump, who's the only individual in this country that stepped up and had true prison reform. And this is one of the reasons that African-American families and Hispanic families think so highly of him.
That's Steve Bannon. I mean, moments from being released from prison, he's back on the air. He's doing his show, and he's giving this press conference, and he is not deterred. He's not demoralized. He's energetic. So when I report those stories about, red flags about the election, don't let it demoralize you. Don't think, oh, this one's in the bag. The Democrats are going to cheat and steal it. We have to make it too big to rig. Our biggest opponent as we head into the election 6 days from now is the couch. That's our biggest opponent. Complacency. Don't get complacent. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
All right, now it's a 24-minute delay, 840 southbound in Lebanon. That's because of that overturned vehicle blocking the right lane right there before Couchville Pike. Vice President Harris brushing off President Biden's garbage comment about Trump supporters. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It was supporter apostrophe S, they tell us.
Yeah.
How do you hear the apostrophe?
Watch the video, bigot. That's all you got to do.
You know what? You're right. What was I thinking?
Listen, you gotta listen, and then you'll hear the apostrophe. That's the trick.
He actually mimes it in the background. You're just not paying attention to his hands that aren't in frame.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a 15-second clip going around of Biden calling everybody garbage, right? But there's a longer version that gives it a little bit more context, and the context doesn't exactly help Joe. It doesn't. And Viva Fry posted this on Twitter, the longer version. And Viva Fry says, this man is going to be forced to resign by Kamala. We had a caller earlier that said the same thing. But I'm fully convinced Joe is, they had a picture of him voting yesterday, early voting. I'm convinced he voted Trump.
Yeah, he hit it from his wife.
He hit it from his wife, and he voted for Trump. Only you know what happens to that voting booth.
It's between you and the walls of the voting booth.
Which is, I mean, it's so funny because that's how the Kamala Harris campaign is advertising things right now. They have an ad out with Julia Roberts voicing it over, being like, hey, you lied to your husband. He's not going to know you voted for Kamala. Cancel out his vote.
Joe Biden lied to our country and voted for Trump.
Yep. This is Joe Biden. This is the long version of him calling you a piece of human garbage.
Donald Trump has no character.
Oh.
He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years?
All right. Well, I mean, birthright citizenship is kind of ridiculous, right? Can we all agree on that? Like you sneak into our country illegally and then you get to have a baby and now the baby's a U.S. citizen. Like that doesn't make any sense. So I think ending birthright citizenship is I'm a fan.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage.
He was making a joke that's been made plenty of times before about their garbage problem.
I don't think they know what that word is, though.
Maybe
a joke.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware.
I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know where I'm from in my home state of Delaware. Let me tell you what I know. I don't know the Puerto Rican I know.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
You heard the apostrophe, right?
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right. Yeah,
it's right.
That's right.
Not in my household. Not in my neighborhood.
Sorry. He's talking about them in his home state of Delaware, and I was like, ooh.
I'm convinced this was on purpose.
It has to be.
I don't know the Puerto Rican where I'm from. That Puerto Rican.
A floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know.
All right. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know. I could deconstruct this clip all day. It gets better every time you hear it.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware.
The Puerto Rico where I'm from, in my home state of Delaware.
Exactly. That's what he was getting ready to go there.
He was raised in a Puerto Rican community, Ken. You know that. Mason, you know that.
You know, with old Corn Pop.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Joe Biden was raised in every community.
Yes.
You know that. He was raised in the Puerto Rican community. He was raised in the Jewish and black neighborhoods of Delaware. He was raised in the Greek community. He was raised in every community.
He's a cultural melting pot.
He is. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And sorry, drivers, but things just got a lot worse over there on 840 southbound in Lebanon. That delay now is an hour for that overturned vehicle. It's blocking the right lane, 840 southbound, right before Couchville Pike. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, government GDP numbers released today show the economy growing and that people are spending money. Jared Bernstein's the chair of the United States Council of Economic Advisors telling ABC News people are making more money than they were a few years ago.
We actually saw in October the largest spike, the largest jump up in consumer confidence in 3.5 years. Now, that's 1 month. I try not to over-torque on any monthly or quarterly result. But that trend is also moving in the right direction. And I think one of the reasons for that is that real incomes are up $4,000 since this president took office.
Commerce Department says the U.S. economy grew 2.8% from July through September. Consumer confidence up by 3.7%. Meanwhile, election 2024 news, Vice President Harris brushing off those comments by President Biden that Trump supporters are garbage.
First of all, I get it in terms of the concerns they have about challenges like the price of groceries. Second, my highest priority is to address that and to lift them up around their ambitions, their aspirations, and their dreams.
Harris visiting 3 states today, including North Carolina, and the U.S. Supreme Court allowing Virginia to move forward with the plan to strike more than 1,600 people from the voter rolls in that state just before Election Day because they're believed not to be U.S. citizens. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
It was a 6-3 decision, with the court's 3 liberal justices saying they would not have allowed Virginia to systematically remove suspected non-citizens from its voter rolls. Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin signed that order in early August, but activists argued it was also roping in Americans and was signed too close to the election in violation of federal law. Youngkin says the affected individuals said on Virginia DMV forms that they're not citizens, and therefore they should not be on the voter rolls.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Thank you, Joe. Just another ad for the Trump campaign. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Kamala Harris had her big closing argument speech at the Ellipse last night, and she gets off stage and she's high-fiving, and she says, this is why I've rehearsed the same speech at every rally, because I just nailed that. I nailed it. And then what happens is her staffers say, Madam Vice President, we have a situation. And she says, what's going on? What do you mean? I just crushed it. And they say, well, Joe Biden called over half the country garbage. So, damn it, Joe.
He's been littering everywhere.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Damn it, Joe.
Come on, man.
I'm here for it. The Puerto Ricans I know, where I'm from, I thought he was going to say it. I thought he was going to do the meme. I grew up in a Puerto Rican household. I mean, it is. This is the meme.
I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek.
Whoa.
I love it. I'm going to miss him when he's gone.
I would love to agree with you, but I'm ready to be done with him.
I don't want him as a president, but I do. I wish we could get like public speaking every day.
Just put a camera in one room in his house, and he'll occasionally wander in, say something. And then he won't be able to find the exit. He'll walk the wrong way.
This thing on. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Sorry. I'm finding all my favorite highlight buttons that we got in here, and it just wanders in. Can I play one more?
Yeah, go for it.
He just wanders into the room, looks at the camera, and just a nice little.
And Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce it, Shanga Kawawa.
All right, we got some end of the year shows that we need to coordinate, and one of them is going to have to be Biden blunders.
Highlight reels.
We have to. We have to.
I want to.
It may be like the most prepped show we've ever done if we have to go through his history of blunders.
We have 3.5 years to go through.
We could probably spend like a week on it.
Oh, December is going to be the month of giving.
But you could do Corn Pop, Uncle Bozy.
Well, we were talking on the Amigos this morning. It's like, the news cycle's been so crazy that we've essentially forgotten that just a couple months ago he said his uncle was eaten by cannibals.
Yeah. Well, there was the 3-day drive around China with Xi.
Yeah, on the Tibetan plateau. It was just him, Xi, and an interpreter. He spent more time with Xi Jinping than anybody. Anybody. And you know what he said?
Except Tim Walz here.
He said, tell me about America. And Joe said, I'll break it down one word. Opportunity. Yeah, the opportunity for you to destroy everything. So they've been trying to
Just tearing down walls.
They've
Man.
been trying to clean that up all day. And the strategy has been, that's not what he said. He said it with an apostrophe. Clearly, you idiot. And then the other strategy has been, yeah, we think you're garbage. It's just like there's no in between.
Yeah,
there's no in between.
Idiot.
We've had. You're an idiot for not understanding that there was an apostrophe, and yes, we think more than half the country is garbage.
Oh man,
It's definitely more than half if you're looking at polling right now.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Bold strategy. Kamala Harris said that she spoke with Joe Biden. After he called President Trump's supporters garbage, but she doesn't condemn it. She kind of covers up for him.
Spoke to him about the comments and his
He did call me last night, but this didn't come up.
It didn't come up. Didn't come up. Hey, Joe, how'd everything go with Voto Latino? And he said, it was good. It's good. Nothing to report. It was fine. We had a fine conversation.
I'll be honest. I don't think she actually called him, and if she did, the other line was just, yeah.
Joe, I can't hear you. My earbuds aren't plugged in.
Hold on, let me turn on my earrings real quick.
But I mean, honestly, some of their strategies have just been to double down. Like we should be calling them trash. Meanwhile, you know, we do have an election going on. That one of the biggest issues of the election is the economy. That's something that they cannot run away from. And voters are taking note. Voters are taking note on who is going to be better on the economy. This is one Georgia voter talking to Fox News.
But just yesterday, we met a man here in Athens that did not vote for Trump in either 2016 or 2020, but he says this time around he's voting for Trump because of the economy.
I hope that they let him know he is now garbage because he's voting for Trump.
The cost of groceries, just the cost of just living is just ridiculous now, man. And I really haven't heard any of them say what they will do about that. But when Trump was the president, it wasn't that high. You know what I mean? Like you could survive in.
Yeah. You mean to say Trump had a good economy? Shocker. And now listen, that's just like an everyday guy on the street who's like, listen, they haven't given us any plans, and it's not just everyday Americans that understand that there's no plans. There's like actual business people that also understand that there's no plans. Kevin O'Leary was this was Fox News, and he said as an investor, when you look at the economic plans of Kamala Harris, it freaks him out.
For breakfast. I'm still trying to figure out why she wants to raise taxes to 28%, why she wants to go after unrealized capital gains. What about the $25,000 inflation idea for houses? That's nuts. All of this policy stuff got lost in this crazy narrative, the circus going on right now. I'm telling you, as an investor, I'm getting freaked out here because there's no information anymore. It's just this crazy rhetoric going in the last days. I would think she should do the Rogan deal and start talking about what she really means. Price gouging on grocery stores at 3.5% margin. I mean, 88% of jobs in America come from companies, not the government. And I mean, am I the only guy that cares about this? This is nuts. It's completely nuts. I'm just throwing my hand up saying she's got 6 or 7 days left. Please tell me what you want to do because I have no idea.
Well, hey, keep waiting. Keep waiting. She's not going to break it down for you in a way that you can understand. She just won't. She's not going to give you the skinny. She's not going to give you real information. She's going to talk, around the issue. He said she should go on Rogan. I think she should too. If she was an actual human and she could defend her position, she would. And you know what? If she would go on Rogan, it would probably double the views that Trump got. She has a real opportunity, but she knows that she would fail. Her staffers know that she would fail. All of her people behind the scenes, the puppet masters behind the curtain, they know that she would fail. And we've seen that on full display. That's why she's given the same speech at every campaign rally since she's become the nominee. I think the only new thing that she's added is Trump is literally Hitler. He's literally Hitler. And today you have half of the Democrats saying, yes, Trump supporters are garbage. And then you have the other half of the Democrats saying, we would never demoralize or insult people for voting for the other side. Okay. You spent the last week calling us Nazis for having the audacity to go to Madison Square Garden. Josh Shapiro was asked about it on CNN, and I swear, Josh Shapiro, he may be the luckiest man in America because he is not tied to this sinking campaign of Kamala Harris. And you can see a glimmer in his eye, a bit of a smile peek through because he understands that he dodged a bullet.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
I believe, and this is just a shortened clip, but I've heard reports that he ended that interview by saying, Shapiro 2028. Vote Shapiro in 2028. That's what he's saying. Unbelievable. Hey, Murphy, I see Murphy milling about. He's going to check in with us next. We're going to consult with our fellow garbage humans and see what he's got coming up on the show today. And we got 6 days left. Are you big hype?
Let's go.
Well, 6 days left. We're going to have our election night watch party, Wilson County Fairgrounds. We want you there. It's free to attend. We're going to watch the results roll in live. You can win a bunch of prizes, including a Trump Take America Back custom Glock from our friends at the Glock store, 997WTN.com for more info on the party. Again, free to attend. We want you out there. Wilson County Fairgrounds election night. Murphy's going to check in with us next. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Murphy walks in here and he says to me, "I'm not wasting any of my good jokes on you."
That's exactly right.
You save
Show
it all.
starts at noon.
You're saving all of them for noon.
Saving them for noon. Now, I would like to thank. Can I start off by thanking Joe Biden? I'd like to thank our president of the United States of America.
The floor is yours, Mr. Murphy.
I would like to thank the president of the United States of America, whether he knows it or not, Joe Biden. I have a Halloween party to attend tomorrow night, and I was a little bit flummoxed as to what to go as, and now hefty bag, head hole, two arm holes, and I'm done.
Well, don't forget the MAGA hat.
Yeah, sure.
Might be interesting if you and Dan show up in the same costume. It's going to be looking a little weird.
And then we're mine would be like a normal sized 50-gallon garbage bag. Dan would be one of those white kitchen bags.
He's wearing a Walmart plastic bag.
It's a littler fella, littler fella. Dan, man, you can see all of us on stage together, and you can see what I'm talking about.
I saw a costume that I wanted to get. I don't think it would be here in time, but it was the Trump McDonald's uniform on a T-shirt. It's like the tuxedo shirt, but with the apron and the red tie.
So good.
Like I wanted that. I don't think it's going to come in time.
I'm not going to spoil it for those who weren't listening. If you were listening yesterday during the cross between Chris Hand and myself, did I say this on air? What E's idea was about election night?
You didn't. You said you have an idea.
You remember what I told you about the shirt?
Yeah,
that's happening, and I'm very excited about it.
I think. Listen, there's been very few times that I've been excited about Murphy's wardrobe. Actually, zero times.
Your reaction.
I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this.
It's going to be fun. Picked it out last night. Amazon, say what you will about Jeff Bezos, although we like him a little more now, don't we?
He doesn't want the price controls on his grocery stores, apparently.
Jeff Bezos is now suddenly realizing that half the country doesn't like the crap that they're pulling at the Washington Post. But, the old Amazon.com, I wouldn't lean on the devil if the devil weren't so efficient and speedy. But, he's bringing it to my house like they get out of you order something on Amazon.com, they come out of the bushes, they hand it to you, they go back in the bushes.
I just want to point out, though, the redemption arc for Murphy here. When I first started, I was, me and Dan were talking about the events. I'm like, what do you wear? We're talking about outfits, and Murphy gives me grief. Murphy, we're talking outfits? You're talking outfits? And now we're just a year down the road, and Murphy's coming to me and goes, what do you think about this for an outfit?
In my defense, I didn't ask about the outfit. I said this was the T-shirt suggestion that I had no faith in, and then Hand said, ooh, and I said, okay, then that's probably a pretty good idea.
Murphy came in here, and he said, yo, Holmes, check my fit. And I said,
exactly what I said.
I said, that's fire, no cap.
That's clean.
That's what I said.
I think I actually said home slice.
I said that's fire.
I rolled that way. That's the way I roll.
No cap. No cap.
I called him, what'd I call you today? You remember? I said, what up, HG? You know what HG stands for, Mason?
Home goods.
Human garbage. Human garbage.
Well, we got a fellow garbage pail kid. He's on the way in here next. What do you got planned on the show?
Well, we'll talk a little garbage talk. I will thank Joe Biden once again for kind of resetting the dynamic. We'll go after the mainstream media on how they treated the two situations, generally speaking. And we got 6 days to go. What are we going to do? Plus, Scott's Biggie at 1 o'clock, talk about education in Tennessee. There you go.
People like Scott. He's on the way. Murphy's in next. 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.